Mankind is not short on errors, though some are more serious than others. One of the biggest errors is the mistaken belief money has value. The source of this error is not hard to understand. Taking money in lieu of a product or service poses a risk. The seller is exposed to the threat of reneging on the debt if the money is not honored. In this sense, money has no value. It often has no use other than as a medium of exchange. But even if one is using stones, shells, paper, or some other fixed asset, it is physical, required work to produce, and is owned by someone, so it has inherent value, or a replacement value. If the money was destroyed, money would be needed to replace the money lost. Because money has value as an asset, it takes money to make money, literally. It takes more money to produce a gold coin because not only is the coin an expression of its value as bullion, but its minting also adds costs. Printing a paper dollar does not cost $1, but there are costs of engraving, printing, and other costs to be considered. Even bank money is owned. Bank accounts are owned by the issuing bank. The infrastructure required to set up and track accounts is substantial and expensive. The bank is not going to give monetary units away from free, and so they have a nominal value. But the value of money as an asset is seen in its greatest detail when we look at gold and also silver, but with silver the issues are less clearly seen. Bullion has real value as a commodity. Turning gold into coinage only increases the value of bullion and is an expensive operation. Only the state could afford to turn bullion into coinage. It would be more accurate if we called units of exchange currency, and reserved the term money for units of account. But of course, the terms unit of account and unit of exchange have become confused. A unit of exchange is a commodity that has been quantified or divided into precise units, or packets which are multiples of one to facilitate trade. Currency is in all respects a commodity that has been produced in a way to facilitate trade. But this is another way to say it has been customized to satisfy the consumer's needs. Units of exchange permit goods and services and labor to be precisely quantified to make what is still a barter transaction flexible. This is why currencies are considered a means of exchange. Currency is given in exchange for labor, and labor exchanges currency for goods and services. Currencies give the economy a kind of mobile accounting system. The currency in one's pocket is the balance in one's cash account. Cash, or access to it, gives one the right to purchase goods and services. As an asset and something with value, currencies can be stolen, counterfeited, and scammed in many different ways. So the spending and earning of money is not an accurate picture of market activity if one wishes to get a clear picture of progress. Income and expenditures do not truly represent who owes who, and the rate at which value is being added to the economy, which is what money ought to do. When gold is used as a currency, the problems of asset-based systems of exchange are seen in the clearest way possible. Gold is valuable, visible, and can be hoarded. One can have confidence in the value of gold because it cannot be counterfeited, and it is able to be stored in confidence it will not rot or get eaten by rodents. There is only the threat other people represent. Gold can be buried or hidden in the walls of a factory without worry of it being harmed by the elements or time. But there is a facet of gold that makes it unsuitable for use as a currency, and that is its volatility. Gold can only be spent into the economy, which means anyone mining gold, spend it into the economy. They may do this on operations or wild living. Gold is not invested, it is spent or hoarded. Either way, it does not directly create economic development. Spending a currency creates inflation because it dilutes the available supply of the commodity called currency. We always have to remember, currency is a commodity produced by machinery for sale. Its value is in its divisibility and portability. When gold is a commodity, it creates economic development as it has a wide range of uses. But as a monetary medium, even when not used as a medium of exchange, it is often used as an investment, a store of value, and even the backing for another asset that is used as a currency. Such uses do not increase the goods and services available to the market. A fall in value or an increase encourages nations and private parties to hoard gold. Hoarding increases relative scarcity and drives up the price. But these problems are magnified many times over if gold is used as a coin of the realm. When gold is coined, it becomes a preferred medium of exchange. This does not mean it is used in preference to any other circulating coinage. It means people prefer to receive gold as payment. So suppliers and lenders will give preference to those who are able and willing to pay in gold, as for example those who have a gold mine. We have heard the expression, "Let money work for you." Nowhere is this truer or more obvious than with gold. Those who hoard gold have money or bullion working for them. If it does not help an economy to have men sitting at home doing nothing, how does it help the economy to have men sitting at home doing nothing because they have a large amount of gold stashed away? And how does it help the economy to have gold hoarded to take advantage of inflation when its purpose was to facilitate trade? What it appears difficult for mankind to understand or at least fully appreciate is that idleness is always wrong and anything that creates costs for others is evil. Hoarding gold makes it a freeloader. Gold is a commodity, not a store of value, and ought to be available to those who can use it in commercial applications. But this realization of the harm that hoarding does opens the door to questions about the integrity of a system that benefits from unemployment and hoarding and investing. There is only one source of value, and that is labor. What God created was good, because it was created with value. Money is a measure of value or unit of account. But money has no greater value than an inch contains length. An inch represents length, but inches do not create length. The same can be said of money. Money represents value, but money itself has no value. When we work, we create value, and this value can be quantified. Money is the unit that expresses the value of work. If the system you live in makes it difficult to determine the category of things, you live in a corrupt and evil system. If you cannot determine the real value of work done, you live in a system governed by subjective evaluations of value based on emotion. Emotion ought not enter our economies or markets. A person who did not pay their way or who creates costs for others needs correction and reconciliation, not understanding. Sympathy and understanding comes after accounts have been reconciled. When we allow emotion to govern economic choices, we look at things with lust in our hearts and avarice. Emotion makes us want to own what we did not create. Where our treasure is, there will our hearts be also. Treasure is property, and when we seek to own property, we have become governed by the flesh. Lovers of wealth are emotionally weak and will seek emotional justifiers for what we do. Evil persons justify evil actions by blaming emotional triggers. No matter how powerful man thinks he is, we have no claim on the natural world. This is true whether we accept it was created by God or not. The one absolute and irrefutable fact is that no human being can create or destroy matter. On the other hand, most of nature must be processed before it is suitable for the use of man. Processing the resources of nature to make it more suitable for the use of man adds value to what is natural. It is this process value we create, and it is what is known of as work, and it is this we have a right to be paid for. Ownership of what we create is a conservative right. It is not available under liberalism. Liberalism never figured out how to give to God what is God's and to us, our portion. It is for this reason that God devised the church as the bastion of conservatism. The church is first and foremost a way to reconcile man to God, by giving to each their due. Make it your ambition to lead a quiet life and attend to your own business and work with your hands, just as we commanded you, so that you will behave properly toward outsiders and not be in any need. 1 Thessalonians 4 verses 11 to 12. But you have to get right with God to be reconciled to God, and that means we have to give to God what belongs to God. It may be more important to ask is who guides the process than what the steps are that need to be taken, because if liberals are determined to control the process, whatever process they think ought to be used, will not get them right with God. But for liberals this is probably okay. And even though liberals will think the issues surrounding the use of currency and how to get right with God are disconnected, this is because liberals do not know what money is or how to get right with God. Thus, they do not see the connection. First of all, currency is made out of what does not belong to the banks or to the state. Gold, paper, silver, stones, shells, tobacco, or whatever else liberals think can be issued in standardized multiples of 1, was not created by us. All that which currency has been created from was created by God. Even if it injures your pride to hear this, you cannot claim any human being, including you, created any part of the natural world. So, what gives a bank or the state the right to turn any of it into a currency? But taking what does not belong to you, is just the liberals' first offense. Liberals then makes it possible for other liberals or their allies to purchase more of God's kingdom with their abominable currency. A suitcase of banknotes or a few numbers entered into a compute gives a liberal the right to purchase a forest, stream, or even deposits laid down by God at the dawn of time. This use of a fictitious money to turn God's creation into property is the liberal's second offense. The audacity and absurdity, never mind the criminal intent, that equates access to credit or a printing machine with a right to claim things created before man existed, ought to be obvious to conservatives. That is still not the end of the liberal scam. Liberals cannot turn assets into currency, nor do they have a right to use this currency to make ownership claims against nature. Human beings have no claim on nature. But the third offense is greater than the others. Using currency as a gateway drug to introduce conservatives to the depravity of Babylon is a crime against humanity. Imagine a system in which one cannot eat or find shelter unless one has access to currency. Imagine living in a system in which full employment is impossible. This is the liberal system. Money plays a central role in this against spiritual wickedness. Money is property, and the love of money opens conservatives up to getting emotionally involved in the idea of owning property. Owning money introduces us to the idea of owning more property of all kinds. The devil simply works to replace reason with emotion. Once we are governed by emotion, we are easy to manipulate. Money is just part of this program. Conservatives know we cannot own what we did not create. All of the physical world was here before we existed. Mankind did not create it, and we have no claim on it. This has to hold true regardless of what you attribute existence to. We cannot claim mankind had anything to do with it. Our next observation is that little of this world has value to man without it being processed in some way. Mankind adds value to nature to give it value to his kind. Without this processing and manufacture, we would not have attained to a civilized state. Man cannot own nature, but we must improve nature with our work. Those who work deserve to be paid for the work they do. But if mankind was composed of modular units, doing the same things the same way, there would be no need for civil society or the economy. We would all live solitary lives with no need for markets and little or no need for social interaction. It is our differences that make us economically important, assuming the differences are reconcilable. Specialization is the key to progress. If we each do something different and work at what we are best at, we have specialization, and specialization is the basis of all progress. Specialists are able to trade their surplus. This is where money enters the picture. If I make arrowheads and you hunt game, we have grounds for developing a trading arrangement. But arrowheads are basically identical, whereas meat has many different forms and is not available in a reliable way. The trade between arrowheads and meat is not as simple as the trade of arrowheads for beads might be, because of the inconsistency and variety of meat compared to beads. The need for a medium of exchange has long been understood. But the drawbacks of using a commodity as a medium of exchange was never appreciated, which is why there are many people still flogging the discredited gold standard. Would it be fair if manna from heaven was used as a currency and it fell on one man's field only? But in a modified form, this is what using a commodity as a currency means. Liberals permit gold to be used as coinage. Men find gold on their land and in the possession of other men. The gold is claimed in both instances. But is what is done fair in either case? What is the difference between stealing from God and stealing from man, except for the punishment? The maker of arrowheads can only be paid for the value he creates. The value he added to the rock when he made arrowheads is his, but the value of the rock remains God's. The conservative position permits us to introduce the labor theory of value, a discredited idea, but it was discredited by free riders and scam artists who were living off the labor of workers. The only point we wish to make is that the liberal system utilizes an asset theory of money that says money is someone's property and its use must be paid for. The conservative theory of money states, those who create the wealth are paid for the value they create, using money that represents the value created. Conservative monetary units have the value of the labor that created them. Conservative money has no intrinsic or nominal value. To understand the situation, consider a conservative community. Conservative jurisdictions are owned by the local Conservative Party. Some men fish, others farm. The men are paid for the labor they produce by the party. Each is paid at a rate decided by the local party. The earnings of each are deposited in their accounts. Every member of the Conservative Party has an account with the party. The units of account used to record deposits and withdrawals have no value. They cannot be transferred except as a purchase of goods and services, or payment of work done. Conservative money measures the value created by the work of conservatives. Accounts are debited as another account is credited, with each account being reconciled. Value is taken and value given during market transactions. Fish are traded for vegetables by means of the unit of account. Work creates currency. It is the buying and selling that causes the accounts to be debited and credited. Only value created by labor is recorded by the accounts, thus the integrity of the labor theory of value is maintained and the rights of God and man are not contravened. But all of this begins with the formation of a conservative system of accounts using a currency that has no value.